Life doesn't always warn us before it strikes. One day you're chasing your dreams, and the next, everything changes. This is the story of Daniel, a young man with fire in his heart and a passion for running. For him, the track was more than just a place to train. It was home. Every morning he laced up his shoes and pushed himself harder, faster, further. Running wasn't just what he did, running was who he was. But fate had other plans. On his way home from training one evening, Daniel was in a terrible car accident. When he opened his eyes in the hospital, surrounded by machines and the worried faces of his family, he knew something was terribly wrong. The doctor came in. His words were heavy. "We had to amputate both of your legs to save your life." Daniel froze. He thought it was a nightmare. How could this be real? The boy who lived to run now couldn't even stand. Days turned into weeks, the hospital walls closed in. He stared at the ceiling, asking questions no one could answer. Why me? How do I go on? What's the point of dreaming when life can rip it all away? Friends stopped visiting as often. Whispers followed him. Pity filled the air. And when he looked in the mirror, he didn't recognize the broken figure staring back. The world said his life was over. His mind told him the same. But then came a spark. One night, Daniel overheard a nurse say to another, "It's tragic. He's so young. His life is basically over now." Those words cut deep. But instead of destroying him, they lit a fire inside. Is this really how my story ends? Daniel thought. Am I going to let the world decide my fate, or do I still have the power to fight? That night, he made a decision. He couldn't change what he lost, but he could choose what to do with what was left. The journey back was brutal. Physical therapy tested him in ways he never imagined. Every exercise felt impossible. Every fall reminded him of what he'd lost. There were days he wanted to give up, days he screamed in frustration, days he wondered if the nurse had been right. But each time the thought of quitting crept in, he remembered her words. His life is basically over. And he swore to himself, "I'll prove them wrong." Step by shaky step, he learned to walk again with prosthetics. Each small victory fueled him, until one day, he found himself back on the track. The smell of the lanes, the sound of the whistle, the memories of who he once was came flooding back. He knew he would never run the same. But he also knew this: speed wasn't what made him a runner. Heart did. Months later, Daniel entered his first para-athletic competition. At the starting line, surrounded by athletes who had their own scars and struggles, he felt something powerful. He wasn't alone. He was part of a family of fighters. The gun fired. He ran. Every stride burned. Every push was a battle. But Daniel crossed the finish line. Not first, not even second, but he finished. And in that moment, he realized something life-changing. Losing his legs had not ended his life. It had unlocked a strength he never knew he had. From that day on, Daniel dedicated his life to inspiring others. He visited schools, hospitals, even soldiers who'd been injured in battle. His message was always the same. Yes, I lost my legs, but I didn't lose my heart. I didn't lose my dreams. And as long as I have breath in my lungs, I will never lose the fight. And maybe your struggle looks different. Maybe you haven't lost your legs, but you've lost your job, or your dream, or your confidence. Maybe life has knocked you down so hard you're not sure you'll ever get back up. But here's the truth. You can, because strength doesn't come from what you have. It comes from what you do when everything else is gone. So when life whispers that it's over, when the world tells you you're finished, remember Daniel's story. Remember the man who lost both legs, but never lost the fight. And remind yourself, as long as you're still here, your story isn't over. You still have a chapter left to write, because it's not about what you've lost. It's about what you refuse to give up on. Never stop fighting.